What's up, everybody? Today I'm here to talk about learning to read your opponents, and this is especially applicable for Conquest Mode, where you are playing the same person over and over and over. You're learning not only their deck, but how they play and their habits, and they're trying to read your plays as well, and you need to be aware of that. So I went back and I analyzed some of the games I was playing during my last live stream where I was going through Silver Conquest Mode. I played 8 total matches, so against 8 different people, and I won 7 of them. I did end up losing one of those matches, so I only got 3 gold tickets, and we're going to take a look into that loss as well. But I really wanted to go back and analyze those games to really help me become a better player. Okay, I do not claim to be the best Conquest player, but I was playing pretty well on my last stream, and I had some great highlights. And so I think I really need to work on playing that well consistently. And I really broke it down into these 4 levels that I'm going to go over in terms of reading the game, the state of the game, and your opponent's deck and their plays. Okay, and I think the best players, especially the best players in Conquest, can do all 4 of these things very consistently. Whereas a player like myself, maybe I can do the first 2 consistently, but the last 2, maybe sometimes I have it and sometimes I don't. So I hope you guys find this video informative, and again, I'm using it to help myself become a better player as well. I think it's important to go back and analyze some of your games if you're trying to improve. So I will go over the deck I was playing. I did just play one deck during the entire stream, and so I'm just going to give a quick general overview. The point of this video is not to give a detailed breakdown and turn-by-turn guide for this deck. I just want to give some context for the plays that you'll be seeing. After that deck overview, I'll start going through these points, numbers 1 through 4, and I'll state what it is, and then I'll show a clip, a highlight from my stream that kind of showcases what I mean. Okay, and these are the 4 things I found for now. Maybe in the future I found more, but it's just going to help me work on, focusing on these, remembering them, and hopefully performing them more consistently, because I'm still chasing that infinite conquest avatar border. So hopefully I can pick that up at the end of this month. But that's enough talking. Let's look at the deck that I was using. So I was playing this Devil Dino control deck. It's got a lot of great tools that actually helps with knowing what your opponent is playing, because it has so much utility and control options. Spider Hand will tell me a card in my opponent's hand right at the start of game 1. Okay, I'll know right at the start of game 1 one of their cards, and obviously I'll turn it into a pig. Medusa is there for power. Invisible Woman is really key against a deck where you want to hide Killmonger or Shang-Chi. Maybe you're against a Kitty Pryde bounce deck. You hide Killmonger behind Invisible Woman. Turn 6, even if you have priority, you can still kill all their 1-drops at the end. Sentinel is great for Devil Dino and power on the board. Juggernaut, we just want to hit their stuff around. Okay, sometimes it hits it to a great spot for us. Sometimes we get a bit unlucky, but we'll talk about that. Killmonger, again, killing 1-drops. Wave is so good, so good against these Sarah decks. If turn 5 your opponent plays Sarah and you play Wave, you're probably winning that game. They're probably retreating on the spot, and I think we're going to see a clip of that later. Agent Coulson is great for Devil Dino, and he also just adds variance. Okay, he can add new things to your hand that your opponent cannot account for. Even if you're on game 8 of your opponent. In this series, I went to game 8 against multiple people, so they knew my whole deck. But if I have Agent Coulson down, there's 2 cards that they just don't know until I play them. Okay, he's great for that surprise factor in Conquest. Shang-Chi, obviously, to kill big stuff. Devil Dino, he's big and powerful. We can even hide him behind Invisible Woman to use her as a bit of a shield. Okay, so he's safe from our opponent, Shang-Chi. Leader is great if we got Wave down on turn 5 and we're already ahead on the board. We just slap down Leader on turn 6. And Doctor Doom, he's just great, right? One of the best cards out there still. So we have him in here just for overall power on the board. So now that you're familiar with the deck that I will be playing in these gameplay clips, let's get down to business. Okay, these are the 4 levels, if you will, of reads that I think it's important to make during the game. Now, the first couple are kind of easy, and as it goes on, it's really difficult to get those consistently, but I think practicing it and just thinking about it more can really help. So the first one I want to talk about is just weighing RNG outcomes. If you don't know what RNG stands for, it just means random number generation. Okay, it's essentially randomness, being lucky or unlucky, right? There's a pool of options. You're going to get one of them. You don't know the exact outcome, but you can weigh the potential options. This can be RNG from the cards you play, from the cards your opponent plays, or even from the locations on the board. Marvel Snap does have RNG in it, not just from the cards you draw, but from some effects. Like how I mentioned Agent Coulson earlier, he's given you a random 4 and 5 cost card to your hand. But you can think in your head, what are the 4 and 5 cost cards out there? Maybe I'm against an ongoing deck, and I know Enchantress can save me. I know I'm not guaranteed to get Enchantress, but if my opponent hasn't snapped yet, maybe I'll stick around to see if I can get lucky. Okay, you're really weighing this RNG, and I think even if it doesn't decide the outcome of a game in a specific scenario, it's important just to think about it every time. Every time you know RNG is about to happen, to try and prepare. Okay, we're going to look at a clip right now where I was just making great calls. Not that it turned out great for me, but I was just calling what it gave me. Okay, it wasn't the best. I was hoping it didn't give it to me, but we're going to look at how I like to just think about RNG every time. Every time I like to make a prediction that this card could pop up, and if that happens, this outcome might be there. Okay, or if I don't get this card, it's going to be this outcome. Okay, trying to predict the next steps beyond RNG. So let's take a look. Quantum Tunnel, it could give me, the only thing that's bad is Shang-Chi. So if there's only one thing that's bad, I guess a rule of thumb is I should do it. Uh-oh. Okay. It would have been nice if they got like Devil Dino from that, and then they got Enchantress. That would have been pretty funny. Or Zabu, and then Enchantress. As long as I don't get Shang-Chi, we're okay. What was I saying again? Oh yeah, I'm probably losing this game. I don't know. Let's YOLO. The best thing here is Invisible Woman, I think. Or anything with power. I guess if we just have enough power in the middle, we might be okay. Wait a minute. Okay, listen. The game screwed me over in the beginning. Yes, I'll admit it. But now I'm not doing so bad. We picked wrong. We picked wrong, but that's okay. Actually, if this gives us Agent Coulson, we still lose the right by 1. Wow. Anything I called for Quantum Tunnel, for the good or the bad, it gave it to me. That's nuts. So the next step after weighing potential RNG outcomes that I want to look at is playing around unseen cards. Okay, so this is actually pretty applicable to normal ranked mode, as well as conquests in the first couple games when you don't know your opponent's deck, or you've seen maybe some of their cards, but not all of them. You play around unseen cards. Okay, and we all do this. We all know this. But it's really important to think about, and even just the little hints can tell you. So from the start of a game, when I see my opponent playing their first card, I'm automatically trying to guess what deck they're playing. And I may pivot as I see more cards. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. But if I'm right from the start, that can put you on a great start in Conquest Mode, or just win you the game if you're playing in normal rank mode. So let's take a look at me trying to guess what my opponent is playing. I guess they just drew it. Oh, are we matching them? Is it another Dino deck? Could be a Sarah Surfer deck as well. Later on, he could be nasty. Oh, that was good. I used it before my opponent got to use it. I'm gonna say I don't believe you because you gave us a bunch of rocks in our deck. I think my opponent has a like Sarah deck. Because Scarlet Witch, I think, is a bit unusual. Okay, if we think it's Sarah, then I'm going to snap before I play Wave. I think I played one card this turn. my opponent doing? They're whack. I could do Dinosaur into Juggernaut, but I think I'm really getting a Sarah control read here. Or Cerebro 3. Either way, Wave would kind of counter that. My opponent snapped back. Okay, we got nothing to lose. This is game 1 of our Silver Conquest, so it's not like we spent 8 rounds in game 1, now we're in game 2, and we don't want to be risky. Let's see, I think this Wave messes them up big time. I think they played Sarah. I think they did. I think I got the read. Yep. Yeah, I got the read. That Scarlet Witch, that was a dead giveaway that it was a Sarah control deck. The instant retreat. Victory! Yeah, that will do it. So in that clip, I was able to determine what deck my opponent was playing just from seeing 2 cards. And because I predicted it correctly, it let me get the nice win once I played Wave on turn 5, which basically just countered their Sarah. But there is a common pitfall with playing around unseen cards, and that's essentially not playing around them, but you're just hoping that your opponent didn't draw them, okay? And this is what we do when we're just kind of giving up hope or we're on tilt and we're just playing bad. So I mentioned I'm going to show the match that I lost, and I was just kind of feeling down versus this guy. He had a Wong deck, I did not have Cosmo, and I just felt like his deck countered me, so I really just started making bad plays. I knew I should have retreated here, but I was just kind of, hopeless and just saying, oh, maybe he won't have the card and I won't lose these cubes, and they were just bad plays by me. Black Panther. Okay, they have Arnim Zola, I think. It's like I'm hoping they don't, but realistically, they did snap. Okay, we're gonna lose an extra 2 cubes by not retreating here. Yeah. I'm trying to think what answers I have to them. I need to be ahead with Juggernaut. I think it's the only way I'm beating this person. So many snap players can do these first 2 things. It does vary in consistency. Sometimes you just stop doing it, like you saw me play there. But with these next 2 points, I think these are really the points to work on and to analyze to help me improve and maybe help you improve as well, specifically in Conquest Mode, and learning your opponent. Okay, no longer their deck, but your opponent specifically and how they play. So let's learn their plays and their habits. So let's take a look at this clip where all I knew was that my opponent had Thanos. It was game 1 against this person. I had only seen some Thanos stones, and let's look at what they do on turn 4. Our opponent's probably death if they're... Oh. Okay, no, it's a zoo deck. Opponent snapped. They snapped on me. So while I did end up winning game 1 against my opponent here, I thought it was really interesting. They just blind played Professor X on turn 4. Okay, they had an energy boost from their time stone, so they were able to get him out a turn early, but there was no Daredevil on board. And they ended up playing Daredevil in a later game, so I knew they had him, but I knew they were willing to just blind play Professor X, okay, just full send him, even without a location that was great for him, such as Rickety Bridge or Death's Domain, one of those locations that will kill your cards. Professor X is really good on, because you can kind of assume your opponent's not going to play there. So let's fast forward a couple games where we actually do have Rickety Bridge as one of the locations, and I know my opponent is willing to just full send a Professor X. My opponent might go for a cheese Professor X here. But I have priority. Okay, we are YOLOing. Because my opponent has 2 Jeffs, we are YOLOing this Daredevil, or this Devil Dinosaur. Do we get it? Ugh. Yeah, that's what success looks like right there. Woo, a little sweating a bit. We went out. We went for it. Now, besides the obnoxious noise I made after that play, I'm very proud of that clip. It worked out really well, but it did take me a lot of time. Okay, I was really indecisive. I was pretty confident that they were going to play Professor X there, but there was a possibility that they didn't. It's possible they didn't have him in hand, but I really just went for it and it worked out well. Okay, and that can sometimes be the game-winning factor. Maybe it doesn't work out well and maybe you lose, but sometimes those big plays are just needed, especially if you're about 50-50 with your opponent. Now, this last one might sound a bit simple, but I think it's actually the hardest one to do, and that's to read your own plays and habits. Because during the games, you're trying to learn not only your opponent's deck, but how they play, what their habits are, like we looked at. Your opponent is trying to do the same exact thing to you. So if you have certain plays and habits, your opponent is going to be looking to counter those. So you need to be aware of what you're doing. If you're doing anything time and time again that can be countered, and you need to mix things up. Okay, you need to try and stay unpredictable if you think your opponent can counter you. It's hard to do sometimes, okay, to just switch up your own game plan to essentially reverse psychology. You're trying to play around your opponent, playing around your cards. It can get really complex, but let's take a look at this. With this game, I played a person that they were playing a Jean Grey Surfer deck. So they had some 3-drops because of Silver Surfer, but they also had Rocket Raccoon, they had Star-Lord, they had Groot. So they're trying to predict where I play my cards so that they could get the power bonus on Rocket Raccoon, Star-Lord, and Groot. Let's start off. But my curve looks nice here. I'm just going to throw it out. And we have to remember that they have Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon. Okay, so I think it's a Jean Grey Surfer deck that has the Guardians. We hit Shang-Chi. So what we saw there was my opponent catching me playing Spider-Ham on the obvious to play in location. I played him on the left revealed location on turn 1 because the other two weren't revealed. But let my opponent play Rocket Raccoon and get that power bonus. So coming into turn 2, the middle location was actually one that I couldn't play on. But I was trying to play around a possible Star-Lord from my opponent coming down on the same lane that I play in. So let's see what I do, the habit that I start picking up to dodge their on reveal Guardian cards. This will avoid a Star-Lord play, but it's Kitty Pryde. Okay, these people have everything. I am worried about their Star-Lord. I don't know where they play it. Did I dodge it? Did I successfully dodge it? Yes, I did. I thought, oh, that location's protected. That seems like the obvious place to play. Okay, wait a minute. So we're going to be really sneaky here. We're taking a big risk, but we're dodging all of their cards. Like Groot. I really like. It's nice. Okay, what did we hit? We hit Magic. Okay. We dodged Star-Lord this way too, because they love playing Star-Lord on 2 in the middle. Yes, perfect. Okay, so what we just saw there is that after the first game or two, and I knew that my opponent was going to try and catch me with their Guardian cards on turns 1, 2, and 3, I'd start adjusting my gameplay to work around it. I started playing my cards on unrevealed locations in the early turns, or just on the non-ideal locations. Okay, normally you would play cards on locations that are protected by Wakanda or have big power like the Nexus, and I just started working around that. And I'd had to have the self-awareness that my opponent was picking up on that change I made. Okay, I had to be aware that my opponent was picking up on my new habit that I was playing my cards in non-ideal locations just to dodge him. So my opponent presumably is then going to adjust their gameplay to hopefully catch me in those non-ideal locations, and I need to adjust my gameplay once again. Okay, it's just this back and forth, trying to counter each other, a lot of mind games. It's pretty fun and entertaining when you get into it. So let's take a look at how I adjusted to my opponent adjusting to my adjustments. Did I say that right? So I have to wonder where they're going to play their Star-Lord. They might actually think I'm going to play in the Unrevealed because that's what I've been doing. So I'm going to play it on Ninja. Okay, we're going Big Rain. We've trained them that I will be playing in the Unrevealed location to avoid their Star-Lord. So they're now going to play Star-Lord or Rocket Raccoon there. We got it done. We reverse psychology them. So to summarize, These are the forward points that I really notice when looking at my gameplay that I think I can work on to help read the board and to read my opponents to become a better player, specifically in Conquest. So I'm going to keep working on this and analyzing it, and hopefully I can show my journey to you guys along the way and we can all get better together. Now, isn't that sweet? So I appreciate you all watching this video. Some of you may have noticed that I have this PG logo in my overlay now. That is for Pursuit Gaming, which I am very happy to be a part of now. I have the website and Discord link in my description below, so check us out and more big things to come on that end. And I'll see you guys next time.